Hi guys, welcome to First Basket Podcast. We're finally back! Yay! Um,
Woo!
so we're gonna try to talk about what we kind of skipped over when I was, adulting. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
if you don't know, I am Kyo Anime, and my co-host is French Jessica.
Hello.
And so we're gonna be talking about episode 13 and 14 because that's where we left off. So everyone is growing, and so Uo is mad at Kyo for growing.
I think because I don't know. I always feel like they should be taller. I think it's because Shigure is just a giant, and all the adult men are giants. And I'm like, high school boys are not this short compared to 20-year-old men. Like, you know what I mean? But that's how it was in the manga, so I can't fault it. But if you look at how tiny Yuki and Kyo are next to Shigure, I'm just always like, wait, huh?
Yeah. Well, I know that Kyo's beginning of the manga. He's 5'7" because that's how I am. So I'm like, oh, me and Kyo are the same height.
Yeah.
But
So,
then
that's
I
what it
think
comes
he's
up.
5'10" later, so he just grew.
Yeah, but that's the confusing thing is that's what comes up on Google, right? But Takaya never said that. Just like people, it comes up on Google like Toru's birthday, but Takaya was like, "That's not her birthday. She doesn't have her birthday."
I know.
I think it's the same thing with the heights because I'm pretty sure she never did that.
Okay, well, whatever.
But I think that Shigure and them gotta be 6'8" with how tall they be looking sometimes, man.
They're so tall.
Shigure can't. He has to lean down to step into the door. I'm like, what the?
Anyway, so it must be the Soma genes. I don't know.
Yeah, for real. They just sprout up when they turn 20.
But then they bring up how Uo can't get her man's attention, and that's why she's mad. And and then Hana's like, "Oh, look at that back! It's a maiden in love." And Uo was actually really mad. So it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I like that they continue to bring up Uo's storyline right now because it would kind of feel weird if it just came up when it was convenient. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they do that.
Yeah, and but then Uo says something like, "I'm gonna force love on him," or "feed love to him," or something like that. I forget.
I think he just said she's gonna beat the crap out of him, and I was like, okay, Uo, calm down.
Or something yeah. And then Kyo's like, "Oh, I don't think you could do that," or something along those lines. And Hana's just like, "That's coming from you," and he's like, "What's that supposed to mean?"
Yeah, he said, "Did you read my mind?" Yeah. I love her little laugh, and he's like, "Huh?"
Then I was like, oh, maybe they'll have a new opening, and they didn't, and they had just the normal one, but it had Corino in it, so I was like, ooh, fancy.
Yeah, they added him in the last one. I was pretty sure it wouldn't be this episode because that's what they did because they have to split it 13-12 for the opening. It can't be because there's no 26 episodes, it's 25. They did it episode 14 last season, so that's what I was not surprised.
Okay, I didn't think of it that way. I was just like, when's it coming?
Yeah, I know that feeling. I really was hoping for the new opening too, though.
So then, but after the opening, Yuki's fan club, it comes up to him, and they're like, "Oh, we made you these biscuits, and we want you to have them." And he's like, "I don't have anything in return." And they're like, "That's fine." And they start speaking in poems because they're so moved.
Yeah. And though I love the distinction in personalities where Mochiko and then the pigtail girl are being all crazy and the one girl's just looking at them weird.
Yeah, and she's like, "Forget about that. What'd you do over summer?" But then someone comes up behind Yuki.
Yes, it's the queen.
Yes, I was going to say it's Kimi, and she's a new character. And she's all acting all cutesy like she always does, and she's like, "Ooh, biscuits!" And then she calls him Union, and then that just
Union.
The fan club's like, "What?"
What are your thoughts on Kimi, by the way? I know she's a very divisive character. Some people love her, some people hate her.
She's not my favorite character, but I don't really hate her.
I think when I read the manga at first, I was like, oh, she's kind of annoying, but now I just love her. She's such a savage. She does not care.
Yeah, we all know she's acting to be cute to get her way. It's just kind of what she does.
She's just trying to troll people. I'm like, I can get behind that.
Yeah, so that's why I don't know, like, yeah, I think the first time I read, like, the book, I was like, what who is this chick? Like, why
Yeah,
is she
because her
so
character
annoying?
is a little confusing because she's kind of complex.
Mhm.
She's just trying to mess with people.
Yeah. Which you catch on to that, so that's why I'm like, she's not that bad.
I end up loving her. Now I love her to death. She's so funny. At first I was like, huh?
But anyway, he's like, why are you, or who are you? And she's like, I'm Kimi. I think she tells her, maybe I can't remember. She tells him right
Yeah.
away. But and then he's like, why did you call me that name? And she's like, I'm not the first one to call you that. And then like
Yeah.
Kakaru comes out and he's like, hey Union.
Yes.
And then this name just sticks, and like Yuki
Yeah.
is like, oh no.
It's so I love it. We have Kyon Kyon and we have Yun Yun.
Yes, Kyon Kyon. So they eventually like go back to the like student council like room, and
Mhm.
like right when they open the door, Yuki sees Machi for a second and like has a flashback of like when she was like throwing stuff all over the room or whatever she was searching
Mhm.
for. And then we meet
Naohito or Naochan.
and Sakuragi is his last name, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't go by last names for them. I'm just like now.
Yeah. I like when I read the book, I didn't remember his name. I was just like the guy starts with the N because like no one else has an N name. Like
I remember him. Justice for my boy now.
yeah, I'm like I know him. I just couldn't like put his name like I couldn't remember his
He's
name. I
like
was just
everybody
like
I know's least favorite student council member. Like he's still good, but he's just like everybody else in the student council is so amazing.
mm-hmm. And he's secretary and Kimi is one too. And then he was like he's very he gets to be made fun of because he's short. So
Yeah.
and he gets angry about it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm happy to see them again. I'm really happy to see Machi because Machi and Kakaru are two of my like top 5 favorite characters.
Yes. I love student council. They're so like crazy. It's great.
Yeah, I love them all.
But then I like to all of a sudden like they're all like, being weird and Yuki like literally there's a spotlight on Yuki. Like and he's like
Yeah, it's
and,
so
like
intense for no reason. Yuki's such a drama queen.
and he's like trying to figure them out. And he's just like, how am I gonna lead all these people?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, leader, do a
Yeah.
speech. And so he does a speech and he's nervous. And
Oh yeah, and he's like shaking.
yeah, and but he does fine, and then at the end, like they're like, "Let's work together," and then Monabe's like, "Sure thing," and then or Kakaru, whichever one call him, and then that like
Yeah.
helps him like feel better.
Then
But
Kakaru falls asleep.
yep, then Kakaru's like, "Let's work," and he falls asleep.
Yeah.
Which so then we get like Yuki's fan club again, and they're talking to Kimi, like they actually like pull her aside, and they're like, "Hey, listen, girl, like don't bewitch our Yuki."
Yeah.
And then she's just like fires back and she's like, oh, thank you for those biscuits. And she was like, me and Union ate
Yeah.
them together. And they're just like,
Yeah. Oh man, I love it so much. She does not give a crap.
yeah, true. And then, they put up like a sign on like the student council room for the school defense force.
Yeah.
Or at least Kakaru does.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then Yuki goes, I'm guessing it's like the garden club.
Yeah, the
He goes
gardening
to the
club, I
garden
believe.
club. Yeah. And he helps them a little bit and he's like checking on them because him
Yeah.
and Monabe are walking around checking on the clubs.
And he's like good with the plants. We know.
I was like thinking, I was like, Yuki should be in the garden club. He loves
No.
gardening.
He just quits the student council.
But so they're checking on all the clubs and Kakuru's like, this is boring. And then Yuki's like, oh, we need to do this because there's some things that we can't find out unless we like actually go to their clubs and talk to them.
Yeah.
And
he's a very good leader and he doesn't realize it.
mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden there's like these random boys that are like, hey Kakaru, and they're like he's like, hey, and they start talking about something, and then Yuki like starts to feel like left out, and he all of a sudden compares Kakaru to Kyo and how the way like people are just drawn to him and like he can just bounce off of people.
It's crazy how this is stuff that was like established in episode 3 and they're like keeping with it. Yuki's like jealousy for Kyo and like people like Kakeru.
Yuki just says like he feels like he's disappearing when that happens.
Yeah.
So, but after that, they come back to the student council room and the sign's down, and Kakeru's all mad. But Kimi comes in with like a whiteboard and she's like, "Oh, I got this from the teacher because I asked pretty please."
I know.
And it's so funny because Yuki's like, "Is that even allowed to do?" Like
just take a whiteboard.
Okay. So they're all like, "Yeah, let's use the board." And Kakeru's like, "Oh, I have this important announcement," or something. He starts writing, and it's just the color assignment.
Yeah. These are all gonna be Super Sentai Power Rangers in America.
Yes. And of course he's like, "I'm black," because we already know this.
It's funny how like Kakeru's like canonic color in the within Fruits Basket is actually green. Like everybody,
I know.
Everybody's like color is not that like Yuki's color is blue, but he's red. You know what I mean? You know who red is later, but like.
And so then they're like, Kimi wants pink.
Yeah.
Was the next part. But yeah, Kimi's like, I want pink, and like really wants it, and Yuki's like, calm down, it's just a color, and he says like her like last name, and so she starts crying because she's like, you're not gonna call me by my first name.
I love her drama of it all. Like
Yuki notices Machi, and he's like, you should probably say something because someone might take like a color, and then like she's like, what? Like she actually has like a moment. It's like kind of slow-mo where she
like,
just
wait,
looks
you're talking to me, huh?
Yeah. I mean, Cocker is like, oh, I think she wanted you to call her by her first name too. Like, so,
yeah. And Kimi's, oh my god.
Kimi.
Kimi. I just had to say Kimi, and then we all knew.
Yeah, she's like shaking her, like, see, she wants me to have pink. Like
she said she likes yellow. She likes curry or whatever.
But finally, so it's like, you know, crazy room, and Yuki's just like, oh my goodness, what? Like, this needs to stop because they're all like yelling, and Kagura like punches the whiteboard, and like everyone's quiet, and he's like, this is pointless to pick colors, and then he's like, I'm sorry, I'm the one who started.
Yeah, because Yuki he erased black and wrote swamp brown for Kakeru. I love Yuki. He's like not being the bigger person at all. He's just like you're swamp brown now. Like he's totally playing along with it.
Yeah. So then like they're like, okay, it's the end of the day, so they leave. They're like, bye Yuki, see you tomorrow. And they follow Kakeru out, and he sees Kyo and Toru walking home. And he just kind of looks at that like,
Yeah.
And then and I was like, oh, they're walking home.
I know. And it's like a sliver of Kyoru, and we're like, oh yes, I am fed.
But after that, Yuki goes to the garden club again, and he's gonna help them like plant little seedlings. So he takes the seedlings, and Kakeru is still at school, like outside the gate or the door, whatever. And he's like, oh, you're still here, and he's like, yeah, and he starts following Yuki. I think he's gonna maybe help him. I don't know. But then he starts asking about Toru, and he's like, so why aren't you walking Toru home? And he's like, do you like Toru? And then Yuki's just kind of like, why do you want to know? And he's like, well, Kyo, or he says that orange-haired guy who's your cousin or whatever, looks like her boyfriend. And then he's like, so far Yuki's just fine with everything, kind of. And then he goes like, yeah, makes sense. He does look happier than you. And that's when Yuki's like stops, and he's just like, so do I look unhappy? Is it fun to compare us? Like,
yeah, it's messed up, but like, I see both sides because I know Kakeru is just kind of dumb, or maybe he wanted to stir the pot a little bit, but like not that much. Yuki starts like yelling at him. He's like, "Oh shit!"
Pretty much like it's so funny because like Kakeru like kicks the like seedlings, and then he's like, "Why are you mad?" And he's like, "I'm not mad. You're mad."
And he's like, I'm not mad, I'm pissed off that you're mad. And he's like, isn't that the same thing as being mad?
So like they start arguing who's like more mad. I'm like, what? Finally, like Yuki like admits that he was actually like lecturing himself, and that's like when he stops like arguing, and and he like's like, I'm sorry, and he walks away, and he's like talks about how he's like his own worst enemy in a way, or he thinks about it.
Yeah. He's like yelling at Kakaru for comparing his happiness to others, but Yuki's doing the same thing to himself all the time.
Yeah.
Even earlier in the episode, comparing himself to Kakaru.
Yeah, and he's like thinking how Kakaru could have been a better president or stuff like that. You know, things that I don't think would be true. I don't think he'd be that good at.
Yeah, for real. Yuki, you need to think straight. You're not thinking straight, buddy.
But so he says that, but then Kakaru actually comes up and says, like, asks Yuki, how do I see, like, from others' perspectives to understand people? And that's kind of when, and then he also says, I'm jealous of you, Yuki. And, like, that's when, I don't know, Yuki just, no one's probably ever said that to him. And it helped Yuki, I feel like, in a big way.
And, like, his ability to admit his jealousy, because Yuki isn't able to admit his own jealousy, so to hear Kakaru do it, it's something he really admires.
And it's just, like, it helped him, like, I don't know, see more worth in himself. So, yeah, that was, like, a really big moment, and, like, Yuki's, like, almost crying, but, like, trying not to show him he's crying, and, like, the bromance kind of happens there.
No, it's such a good bromance, man.
Yes. The garden club girl comes back, and she's like, oh, no, my plants! And
yeah,
and so Kakuru's like, I'll help plant them. So or I think he's like, let's do it together, Yuki. And Yuki's like, no, it's your fault. You go plant them.
yeah.
But at the very end, we see Kakaru, and he's like, this is the funniest part, I thought. He's like bowing down to Kyo, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I said those things about you. And Kyo's like, who are you?
I know. And then he just hops away, and I'm pretty sure that's like the only Kyo and Kakaru interaction in the series. Imagine the shenanigans they could have gotten into.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh, that would have been great. I want to spin off with those two.
That'd be hilarious. And but that part was like the funniest part. I don't know, the way he like walked away so weird.
I know.
Like, at the very end, like a line or two that I liked where it was like, we can gain understanding despite conflict, and that Yuki was like, or I think being with people won't be so bad. That's what he said, and I was like, yeah. Yuki's growth.
I know, it's so sweet to see his growth. I love it. I love to see it. He has like the best growth in the series, to be honest.
Yeah, I always think Yuki's like technically second main character, maybe.
Yeah, he's what you would call a deuteragonist.
Yeah,
which is like the second. It's like like the Jake to Finn and Jake type thing. Adventure Time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that was that episode, and it was really good. I liked that episode.
No, yeah, I liked it too. I love all student council stuff, to be honest, though.
I think overall, like I said, I think the best part, I don't know, this is the end, like the little whole, like, despite our differences, we can still get along. I liked that overall, I think, at the very end.
I mean, I don't know. I loved all of it, obviously, but I guess for me, it had to be, like, the middle part where they're in the student council room and everybody's just acting like crackheads, and, like, Kimi's on the ground screaming and shaking Machi, and I love all of that.
You love the craziness.
Yeah. It's my energy.
Yeah. All right. That was fun. So now you want to go ahead to next episode?
All right. Yep. And next episode is called I Should Just Die.
Yes. Such a dramatic title.
Do you want to lead this one, or do you want me to?
You can actually, if you want to go ahead and talk about it, you can do it that way.
Okay. I might get lost because I'm, like I said, I don't have that much sleep, but I'll do my best. I'm gonna do my best here.
You can do it. I'll help you. Don't worry.
We start off with a scene of a younger Yuki. He's like probably like 14 here or something, 12, 13, 14. He's talking about how he doesn't know why he has like very little memories of Rain, except for when she came to visit. Whenever he saw her at New Year and whenever he saw her with Haru. And he didn't understand, like, why she would visit him until he like, realized something. And then it cuts to the new opening.
Which I love! Oh my gosh!
I know! I love this new opening so much. I listen to it on my own time. It's so good.
I was, like, singing it, like, during my hiatus, like, Like when I was working, I was like
Yeah.
singing it in my head and like just the
You're
English
my
part.
home. Yeah, that part.
Yes.
I memorized a few words around that part, but like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I love like it's so pretty and the shots and like the transitions like are so like well done. I was just like
I know.
like I think it might be my favorite opening. I don't know because the first one was really good too.
No, it's actually my favorite.
Yeah. I like the first one too.
Um,
Like the very first opening they ever had. Like again, I liked that one a lot. So
yeah, I like that one. I don't know why, but for me it goes this one, and then it goes last one, like the season 2 opening one.
mm-hmm.
It's the first one, and then it goes Chime.
Mm. Yeah, I really liked. I forget what was the one like the closing of the first season, like the very first one. I really loved that one though.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that one was
I forget what it was called. Prism.
Everything Changes.
Yes.
Everybody
I love that song so much.
Yeah.
Like every time it'd come on, like after the end of the episode, I'd just be like, start singing it like as loud as I could, and like.
Yeah, all the endings have been phenomenal though.
Yes.
I feel like endings are like better than the openings in some senses, in some cases.
Yeah, sometimes.
Not always, but I think that some of them are. Like I don't like the second opening for the show, like second opening season 1. I think that the ending was a lot better for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I like it all. Alright, so we get back into the episode and it's Toru on the phone. And she is on the phone with her aunt, and apparently her grandfather's back has given out. And her aunt's like, "Oh God, do I have to go to your student council? I mean, not your student council, your student teacher conference now."
Yeah.
And Shigure takes over, and he's on the phone with her. And he decides he'll go instead. And it's not really for Toru's sake; it's more for his own amusement to laugh at Mayu.
Yeah. I love how like Yuki was suspicious, and I love how Yuki almost always sees through Shigure's like plans. Like almost.
No.
He's like, are you really just going for Toru? Like.
Yeah. Is Shigure ever just doing something for somebody else, or is it always for himself? We'll never know. Or will we? I don't know.
Yeah.
Alright, so Toru's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming." And then Kyo comes in, and he's like, "What's all this noise?" And they're talking, and he seems really down and out of it. And he goes up to his room, and Toru's all worried.
Yeah, he just goes straight to bed.
And then it cuts to, yeah, he's like, "Good night, I'd nap you now." And then we cut to them all talking at school, and Toru's like, they're like, "Where's Kyo?" And Toru's like, "He's probably on the roof or something. I don't know. He's sad. He's being a sad boy."
Kyo's sad place is the roof. Or
I know.
really, if he just needs to get away, he's like, roof.
Yeah. So Momiji notices that Toru is sad, and he's like, little bunny to her, and he's like, "That doesn't mean you have to be sad, huh?" Yeah. And he's like cheering her up. They go to get a drink, and Hatsuharu calls Momiji an air purifier. I'm like, yes. Yes, Haru, I agree.
Yeah, Haru makes like 3 jokes in that one like tiny scene.
Yeah, something about
like hips are a man's like
yeah. I
don't know, like
hips are everything to a man or something.
And then like
Yuki's like, "Haru, you need to shut up." Yeah. And then they go walking, and it's really cute because Momiji and Toru are both holding his little bunny like together. And then Yuki and Haru are trailing behind, and they start talking about Rin. And Haru's like, "She never does anything just for herself. I don't know what's going on. I think that she really did want to break up with me." Kind of just talking about that, and then Machi walks by, and it's just like, okay, when he says he'll see her, so like we barely get any dialogue from her.
One word.
Doesn't matter because I still love her in my heart, so I see her and I just get happy. And then that causes Haru to, ask Yuki about the student council.
And we also find out that Haru and Machi are in the same class, which was kind of just
like,
oh.
And I think I made a tweet once about how Machi was probably there cheering Haru on as he destroyed the classroom.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, get it, Haru. And then I believe we go to Yuki's house. He's like able to just walk into the Soma estate without a problem now,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm really proud of him. He's making a lot of progress to like overcome his trauma. And oh my gosh, his house is so bougie. Like it's like so fancy.
Yeah.
And I mean it makes sense. Those Zodiacs got money, and as we know, his mother, quote unquote, like sold him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like this one he just goes to the house and she's like not there, and so he just gives like the maids like the information
Yeah.
about the
I don't know why like their kimonos are funny to me. I think it's because they're like bright pink and like all the ladies there wear them.
yeah,
I just,
yeah.
I don't. It's like the color. I'm like, it's so cute.
But yeah, he just kind of like leaves the information about the student a parent like student parent teacher conference, I don't know what you call it, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, because I forgot to mention earlier that his mom made him reschedule.
Yeah, so he like gives it to the maids and then like, oh, do you want to like wait for your mom to get home? And he was just like, he didn't say anything, he just like left.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Uh, next we get Seymour Kagura, and I actually really enjoy Yuki and Kagura's like few
Me
interactions.
too. I love that she calls him Yoon-chan.
I know they're so cute. Um, and she's skipping school, and you know it's crazy to think that Kagura's by her age she should be in her first year of college right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just kind of crazy to think about. And that's why he's like asking. She's on her way back from school, and she's not wearing a school uniform because you know they don't have college uniforms there.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I don't know. I don't know why it's crazy for me to think about Kagura in college. uh, he asks about Kyo. He's like, "Oh, well, he's been kind of down since that day that he saw you."
Yeah.
And she's like, she kind of feels bad, I think, and she's like, "I'm the one going through a heartbreak right now. He shouldn't be feeling that way or whatever."
Yeah,
And she's asking,
she even asks about like
she's like,
if he's avoiding Toru or not.
yeah,
And then he's like,
yeah,
yeah, and then she's like, oh, that makes me feel like crap.
yeah. She's like, it kind of makes me feel like it's my fault,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I understand. I'd feel bad too if I were her.
Hmm.
And then she's like going on and on about how once you start loving somebody, it's too late. Like you're already gone at that point. Like there's no turning back, man. And it cuts to like Kyo looking at Toru through the window.
Yeah, Kyo's looking.
I like walking home from school.
Always, I don't know why I like that part in like the manga, like the way it looked better than. I think it's because like they cut a couple times in the anime, but I always
Hmm.
liked that part of like Kyo looking at Toru at the window, like panel wise.
So Yuki expresses that he's jealous of Kagura because she's so sure of her feelings. Uh, and he's not sure if he has those like same convictions as her. He's unsure of how he feels about stuff.
Mm.
And like he says even with so little time, you still like so fervently have these feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to him seeing Rin, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts running. He's like, "I'm chasing you, girl."
And he like froze his bag.
I love Rin. She just sees him and she's like, "I'm out." He grabs her and he's like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, he asked like if she seriously broke up with him. Is what he said. Like,
Yeah, and he brings up, uh, "Oh well, I remember how you used to come with Haru whenever you'd visit me,
mm,
and I remember that I would always wonder why you even came because you just sit in the corner and eventually say that you want to leave. And then I realized that every time you guys would leave, somebody would come and check in on me, and nobody was allowed to visit. So he realized, oh, you were keeping watch to keep you and Haru safe."
mm-hmm. It was like apparently like Haru wasn't supposed to be going to the room.
Yeah, well, yeah, Yuki was supposed to be isolated. Nobody
Yeah.
was supposed to see him.
So she was just making
So
sure like no one noticed Haru would go in the room. Like,
yeah, she was being a real one, man.
mm,
We get her being like, "Are you an idiot? Like, just go live your idiotic high school life or whatever." And uh, that's something that comes up with her about her calling like happiness like idiotic and stuff, which
yeah.
you know comes up later. But
And then we go into like um how Yuki got out of the room too.
yeah, oh, it's so sweet. Haru basically begs Shigure to get Yuki out of the house, because I believe this is a point where Shigure starts living on the outside, and Haru's like, "Oh my, take Yuki with you."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, jokingly, like, "I'll take him with me if you just call me Sensei from now on." And Haru stuck to it diligently and still does it. Now we know why he calls him Sensei, which it's not weird to call him Sensei, because that is something that you could call an author. Somebody who's like a master of their craft in Japan, it's like normal to call them Sensei, like your teacher, a martial arts teacher, author. Like, it's normal to call those people Sensei, but now we know, like, it's not just that for Haru.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool because like
It's
when you watch like the when I like now when you watch like season 1 and he calls him Sensei and stuff, you're just like, oh, I know why he calls him Sensei.
No, it's so sweet. And then it's like, you're an idiot for not realizing or whatever. And Yuki's over here crying because he just realized how much Haru cares about him.
And
Haru comes in with the drip.
Yeah, that's when Haru comes in.
His outfit, though.
I watched it with my friend, like, the second time I watched it was with my friend Sarah, and she was just like, oh!
I know! His abs are out, man. He's got, like, giant pecs.
She was just, because it's her favorite character, too, so she was just like, oh, okay.
Okay, Haru, okay, I see you.
Oh, and then, okay, so, like, Haru comes, and everybody's like, oh my gosh. But then, I want to talk about this part. They show, like, a tiny little scene where, like, Kyo's walking, like, on the street, and then, like, all of a sudden, he, like, thinks of something, he turns around, and, like, the cars go really fast, and it, like, transitions back to Haru, and I was like, that was a cool transition.
Yeah. That was really good. And I just can't stop thinking about Haru's outfit, though. The shirt tucked in and everything. Bruh. Haru and Rin are the best couple when it comes to looks, so.
Yeah, like.
Then we get to Haru and Win's confrontation.
Mm-hmm. He, like, tries to, like, reach out to her, and she's like, don't touch me. And then,
yeah, I should just die. She's like,
yeah, he's like, oh, you don't actually need me, then I should just die. And then she's like, reacts, like, no, like her face does.
Yeah.
So.
He kisses her.
Yeah! Fruits basket kiss!
Very bad. This would not be good practice in real life, but because it's anime, it's actually really cute.
And then Yuki just, like, drops his bag.
It's not, or like, everybody in the fandom was making memes about how this is the first time Yuki's seen people kiss.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I never thought of it that way, yeah. But I just like how he just, like, drops the bag. He's like,
No.
But then, yeah, Haru says, like, after the kiss, he's like, I was lying about dying, and obviously it's what he says. So he does tell her, like, that wasn't real, so that's good.
Uh-huh.
And then, but then he brings up, like, he thought he knew everything about her, but maybe, like, he wasn't hearing her, like, small voice or whatever. And then he says which is small voice. I don't think he said small voice or another voice, important voice.
I think he said your most precious voice or something like that.
Which it made me think of, like, the small voice that Toru talked about, though. Like,
yeah, and even Yuki, or like talking about the small box that they hold.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big theme, is like the thoughts that you keep in your heart that you don't share, like letting it out and stuff.
And then he's like, are you still not able to rise up on your own? And then that, like, struck a chord with her because she slapped him.
Yeah, she said, don't you dare talk to me or I don't know.
She didn't say anything. She just slapped him and ran away.
I know.
And Yuki's like, are you gonna go get her? And then Haru's like, no, I can't catch up to her. She's the horse.
I know. Yuki's caught up to her, but Haru can't.
Like, I love how Haru just jokes about, like, anything dryly at, like, any moment, almost.
I know. I love Haru so much. He's so funny. He's one of the funniest characters, definitely. He's almost got that same brand of like dry humor as, like, Hanajima.
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh my gosh, they should be friends. Like, gang up on Kyo together.
They would.
then Haru and Yuki, start talking after that. After he's like, I can't catch up with her. I'm a horse. I'm a horse. She's a horse. And Haru is like, Yuki, I know. I'm really glad that you care about me and all, but like, I can handle the stuff with Rin. I know that there's some I need to protect her. And he's like, I can handle this myself now. I have like a new drive to do so now that I know that she really does care.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you go focus on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like very emotional for him because he's thinking about how much Haru has helped him now that Rin said that. He's like, is it really okay for me to prioritize myself? After you've done so much for me? Yeah, and it's like, oh, I love Yuki so much. He needs more love.
Yeah, and then but yeah, he's like, is it really okay to do that? And then Haru's like, yeah, like, and then he brings up like how he's weak but he's kind, and that brings back to what Aya said.
Yeah. Well, how do you interpret the weakness part? Like that part, they both say it. Like, how do you interpret like you're weak, you're kind?
I still don't know how to like explain it. Like, I get what what do you think? Because
it's like hard to put into words, right?
Yeah.
It's like they admire his vulnerability and his ability to feel his emotions
that's what I
so
think
strongly.
of.
Like he's
I guess in a way, like how he's kind of like how Kagura said he can like see other people's like and understand them, but like to do that you have to be like down at that level, like.
Yeah, I think that it's like he's like we see how much he cries. He's very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they mean. He's emotionally weak, but that causes him to have empathy and like for others and like to do better.
Yeah. That's how I was like, how do I explain this? Because
yeah, it's really it's something that like you have to kind of chew on it. Maybe it's different in Japanese, but it's definitely something you got to think about.
Yeah, I've wondered about looking that up like in the Japanese sense, but
yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. So,
and Haru says like, I have a feeling that you'll meet somebody who likes you for you and all that.
Yeah, which I liked that line.
No, manga readers would be like tight-lipped. Anything pertaining to Yuki.
I like missed this the first time I watched it, but I watched it the second time, or no, I think it might have been like the third time. I don't know, but anyway, but then it shows like Ren in the woods, like I think that was and like it shows her scars, and I was like, whoa,
yeah,
like I don't know how I missed that, but.
Oh yeah, I don't know how you missed that. No, just kidding. I understand if you're like reading subtitles and you just kind of looking in your peripheral vision, so I get it.
That might be it, yeah. But then after that we go back to Toru and she's with her grandfather.
Yeah, and, little grandpa. He's so cute.
Such a good grandpa.
Yeah.
MVP grandpa.
I know. and she's talking to him. He's like, he brings up the fact that he had a dream about Kyoko. Well, he's talking about how he had a dream about Kyoko and Katsuya, and he talks about how in his he didn't really get along with Katsuya for a while, and that Kyoko kind of acted as an intermediary between the two of them, and was able to help them get along better.
Mm-hmm. Which was nice because people were like, "Oh, we're finally figuring stuff out about Toru's dad," like a little bit.
A little bit. I love seeing people be like, "Wait, who's Katsuya?"
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Toru's dad. He says that he wants to go see Kyoko and Katsuya, and he says that, and he's falling asleep, and the whole audience is like, "Wait, is this guy about to die?"
Yeah. He's like, "I want to go see them," and it's just like, and Toru's even
like, "Oh God, no!"
Yeah, Toru's like, "Wait," and then it's like, "Oh, he's sleeping." Okay, good.
Yeah. And it sends Toru into some flashbacks. Ooh. I have no idea what that could be about. I'm just a simple anime only.
I don't know why your voice, you're like, oh, flashbacks.
Ooh, spicy.
But yeah, those flashbacks were pretty dang powerful.
Yeah, and I think that I saw a lot of anime onlys get confused and think that just getting upset about her mom dying, because like that's
Mm-hmm.
those go to Toru sad, but like it's a much more than that, and people will see that soon.
I
Probably
think
next season.
like the subtitles for this flash or the lines or dialogue flashbacks were like really really big though. Like
Yeah, like I want to go see him, but I swear people like do not pay attention. They're like, "Oh, Toru's sad." Like I've
yeah,
seen
I
reactions
know.
like, "Oh, she's sad because her mom died." I'm like, "Dude, did you not read what it just said?"
Yeah. It's a big clue, but you gotta like wrap your head around
Well,
it.
to be fair, when I read the manga, I think I was very dumb about it, and I didn't know what was going on. I was like, "Huh? Wait, what?"
Yeah, same.
Yoko?
And yeah, I was just like, oh, she's thinking of her mom again. That's literally all I thought. Like,
Yeah, same. So it's like now hindsight is 2020. I'm like, it's so obvious. How can nobody get it? I'm like, wait, I didn't get it. So
So after all the flashbacks, she's like walking um and down the street like still thinking about these things. And
yeah,
then so she like falls to her knees because she's like so sad.
I
And then
know.
like all of a sudden, like I love how they animated this. Like Kyo's just in front of her,
Yeah, he just
and
apparates.
yeah, he just is there, and then he's like, "You okay?" And then
I
she's
know.
like, she says, "I was thinking about like something from the past." She was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I was just thinking." And then
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh, Kyo, you're like an angel that just came out of nowhere from the sky or something like that." And he's like,
I know. It's so cute.
and he's like, "Really? That's weird." Or he like laughs at it, you know.
He's like, I'm not an angel. I don't know why, but that made me think of I could be your angel or your devil. I don't know if you know that meme. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I watched that with my friend, and she was like, "You're like an angel." I was like, "He is." It was just my Kyo fangirl coming out. Anyway,
Yeah.
and then like he stands up and pats her head and like tells her it's okay to be worried like when a relative is sick, like that's common. And
Yeah.
so he's like, "Let's go home." And then she's like, "Weren't you going somewhere though?" Like, and he's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't answer, and he just picks her up off the ground. Like, he goes, "Oh, are you gonna be there forever? Like, you're gonna sit there forever?" And picks her up off the ground. And then he calls her like skinny and short because she's so easy to pick up. And she's like,
Yeah.
"I want to be
I
tall."
think that the English word for skinny, it's just such a weird word. Like,
Yeah,
he's like looking all like beautifully at her, and he's like, "You're so skinny," and I just like, oh, the way it's just so funny. But then he's
it's
like, "and puny," and then it's fine.
yeah, it's more like frail is what he meant. I guess you could say.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's funny. It's just funny to hear him say, "You're so skinny," as he like stares at
I
her like
wonder, I wonder about
lovingly.
the dub, how that's gonna.
Yeah.
Have,
Well, I mean, they probably did say skinny, but it's probably a different connotation in Japanese. Or maybe it's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's funny in either language.
hmm But anyway, and then but then he's like, yeah, calls her short too, and then they start talking about like how so tall, and that she could be a model, and like
Yeah. So
or
cute.
whatever. Yeah, so that scene was really cute, and really I liked. I don't know. I always like with like the Kyo scenes how it's like not always, but they have like the orange kind of feel to them, like the sunset
Yeah, the
feel.
sunset. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but at the very end we get Haru comes to Shigure,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Rin's been here, huh?" And he's just like, "Oh, so you know."
It's like I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah. And so like Haru's trying to figure like why Rin came and everything, and Shigure is not telling him, obviously, like,
Yeah.
and Shigure is like, "Oh, you just keep struggling and like living your life trying to like figure it out.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do as young people." And I'm like, "Thanks, Shigure. Thanks."
Real. Sugar, what are you doing, huh? You're still young. What are you Well, I mean, I know what Sugar is doing, but still.
And then
It's
the
so
part
funny how Haru's like, I could call you honey, and Sugar is no thanks.
yeah, he's like, "Will you do if I call you honey?"
Oh, Sugar is
Like, and then we have the new ending, which is so pretty.
yeah. I know all the like screenshots you could take to make them your banner pictures on Twitter. It's amazing.
Yes, I was so distracted that like it kept showing all the characters, and you know how at the end it shows like Yuki and then Akito and then Toru. I was like so distracted how pretty they were. I was like, "Where's Kyo?" He's the first one. Like,
he's literally the first. And if you look at it, Kyo is like in the shade, like reaching out through the bamboo leaves that look like a prison. And then the last picture, so Kyo's first, and then last is Toru, and she's like reaching out to somebody. So it's like if you put them together, she's like reaching out to Kyo, and she's from like the sunlight with all the sunflowers around her and stuff.
That's cool. I didn't think of it that way.
It's like how Yuki's and Akito's go together.
Yeah, they go together a lot.
Yeah, they're like, because Yuki's like the white and Akito's like the black, and they're next to each other, so they're supposed to be like a pair. I really like that. And if you notice, if you look at Akito's hands, he's holding the red flower that like is Akito's flower, which represents like nobility and all that. And if you look at his hands, they're like covered in red, like they're blood stained.
Ooh, cool.
The flower. It's really cool.
So
yeah, you should definitely look at it closer next time you look, because like if you look closely at Akito's hands, he's like got blood on his hands.
But yeah, that was that episode. We did a good job, like going through that too. I loved the episode for the Harurin moments. That was great.
No, I like that they feel much more, I don't know, like a real couple. Like a lot of couples in the show are very much Joey, Fluffy, Haru or Rin are like, bro, we be making out, and you know, like they feel like, you know, like what an actual teenage couple would be doing. They'd be all over each other, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
and
I mean,
it's not
they
like,
are both Zodiac, so
yeah,
it was like they can't hug each other because they won't turn into animals. So
yeah. Oh man, I really enjoyed this episode. I like Haru and Rin a lot, even if I like Toru and Rin together too.
and yeah, I still, the second favorite part was, like I said, Kyo when he like appeared, because in the manga it's like you see him appear like on the side, and then you like see Toru look up, and then you see him like looking down. But this, it was just like boom, he's there.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere.
So I really liked that.
Yeah, I love these episodes. I love all of season 2, and I love almost every episode of the show. There's maybe like one or two that I'm just think are okay, but there's most of them I love, you know.
Thanks guys so much for joining us, and we're gonna try to do some more episodes this week. So if you want to come in and listen, you can. And so see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do I have like one spoiler thing I want to talk about.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
So if anyone, I don't know, is anyone even listening still? Like,
for real. We're about to go into spoilers, so if you're not, if you're anime only and you don't want to be spoiled, now's the time.
It's just Mario Bros. He's listening, but anyway, yeah. So I noticed this a long time ago, like, because I think I was listening to like a song about it, and I was like, it made me think of like Kyo, but like when he was on the street, and then he like turned around to go find Toru. I've like always thought about how so many like things like with Kyo and Toru is like on the street, like, you know, when he first held her hand, it was like they were on the street, and then I'm like,
oh,
and when he like, I don't know, it's different, like, I don't know, you'll notice it if you watch.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and like stuff that happens later, like it's like I just love Kyo. He's like, lol, I'm disillusioned.
Yeah,
so yeah, everybody runs after her, and she's like, oh, it's like the meme where she's like screaming, and he's like, why are you running?
Yeah. Like, it just, a lot of stuff happens with them, like on the street or a rooftop, whatever. It can be different things, but then I was good.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of like other big moments that we haven't gotten. The only one that I can't think of that's not on the street is like the hug. Well, like the first hug through the sheets.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that scene, but anyway.
I know. That's gonna be next season, right?
I guess, yeah.
I think, yeah.
But what I was thinking was, so like even deeper about the whole street thing was like
what?
he was he was walking, and like, you know how the cars like did the transition, and he like ran to Toru. Oh, didn't run, but he went to Toru.
Yeah, he like turned and it was like whoosh.
Yeah, well, the cars thing, like, I haven't thought about this before, but the cars made me like think of it again. Was like, it made me think of, you know, later how we know how Kyoko died.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think
And
about that.
he was on the street when it happened, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think how like maybe like just the street makes him think of Kyoko, and then that makes him think of Toru.
Yeah.
Like the whole connection.
That's true. I never thought about that. Oh, that's
And
so
so
cool.
like
You might be onto something there.
yeah, like how he was like just walking and he just thought of Toru, like, oh, I should go make sure she's okay. Like, but he was on the street and there was like cars flying by. I was like, I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I think that's really cool. You should tweet that.
Yeah. Did you want to talk anything spoilerish?
I
Spoilery?
don't think so with these episodes. I think there's a lot of foreshadowing about Yuki not having feelings for Toru. These ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah. And even foreshadowing for Yuki and Machi with the whole maybe you'll find somebody, Yuki, wink wink.
Yeah. I think it's funny how so many people like they like Machi even though she hasn't talked yet, but they're like they don't know anything about her and they're just kind of like they're like, yeah, she's just that quiet character that, but they're like, oh, I love the quiet characters, and I'm like, just you wait, like.
No, like Breathy is already like, oh, I love Machi.
I know, yeah, Breathy loves her. It's great.
But I mean, with good reason. She's one of my favorite characters. I love Machi.
Yes, Machi is. I like her a lot, and I love the her and Yuki. So.
Yeah, there are times when I'm like, wait, do I like Yuki and Machi better than Kyoru? And I'm like, nah. But then I'm like, unless, unless you know, I love them both so much.
To me, like Yuki and Machi, like the way they got together, even though they both had like dramatic things in their past, like it seemed more like natural than Kyo and Toru because they went through so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I like them more than Kyo and Toru. But yeah,
I didn't even know that you liked them more.
Well,
I love them so much. Yuki becomes the pseudo main character by the end of the manga.
Yeah. And so I love Kyo and Toru like as more because I'm like I like Kyo more as a character. So I'm like that's pretty much the only reason though, I feel like. And then like couple wise, I'm like they're almost equal to me. Like Machi and Yuki. And
I love them both. I don't know if I can pick a favorite. I love them both so much.
Mm-hmm. So all right.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good. This was good. We did.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back on it. I'm excited to be able to do the rest of these.
Yes. Thanks guys so much for joining us, and we're gonna try to do some more episodes this week. So if you want to come in and listen, you can. And so see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.